and friends. I want to begin with a very happy note, and so pardon me, it may be a little outside the conclave, because conclave, Dr. Mohanty has warned us, you have to get into a huddle, the doors will be locked and won't be released till smoke comes out. So before I get into that huddle, because I have no intention of getting into the huddle, but the happy note is the fact that one of our colleagues, Professor Sunil Gupta, as many of you know, has been elected as the President Designate of IUPAP, one of the most prestigious international body of science, or at least for physics. And he happens to be the only second Indian after Dr. Bhabha. So I think being from DAE community is a matter for great pride for all of us. Now, we just heard from Dr. Mohanty the purpose of this conclave. One is to, of course, look at our science and technology and engineering strengths and discuss and decide how do we solve the problems ahead of us. And then, of course, we also mentioned about the outreach. And that word outreach reminds me of a visit long time back. I had to Siberia. In fact, we was traveling along the Lake Baikal, and so it was a boat, high-speed boat, and then somewhere deep in wilderness, we saw a few people, couple of tanks, a few huts. So got curious. So we got down there. It was summertime, very pleasant. Otherwise, Siberia is not a very pleasant place to go. And then we found that this was a field station of one of the universities looking at marine biology, or for that matter, marine biology, but also Lake Baikal is a sweetwater lake, the biggest sweetwater, so it's kind of freshwater biology. And so the faculty members from this university, maybe 5-6 of them, they were camping there along with their families, children. So it was a good outing. And so when we went there to figure out what they are doing, and as the professor was trying to explain to us what he was doing, his daughter, she may be hardly 7-8 years old, he pushed his father aside, said, "You can't tell properly, I will tell." And then she took over and explained what they are doing. And for laymen like me, that was probably better than what the professor could have explained to us. So I think talking about outreach, it reminded me of that. And I think both internal outreach, and that's very important, and the external outreach must be taken to that level. We often talk about science and society, but then we talk about science and society, but the two move on two parallel tracks which seldom meet. And that means there is a failure of outreach. So, for example, what will happens? The SMR story. Sorry, Dr. Mohanty, but to comment on that. We have this buzzword. This is actually a marketing buzzword of SMR, that SMR is solution to everything. There is a DOE report on, they call it how to bring in market to create large-scale traction for deployment of nuclear energy. And it actually puts everything into perspective, and including SMR. But if you read that report, then you realize how this marketing push many times could distort. And why I'm mentioning this here is, I reflect back on days of Dr. Bhabha, and that is the time when PWRs and DWRs were obviously had already made success with no other technology very much in sight. But Bhabha, even after looking at BWR as a or Tarapur reactor, just to gain experience to see what is it running a nuclear reactor in Indian grids. And it was on purpose, very well thought of purpose. He switched over to natural uranium heavy water reactors because self-reliance was his motto. So I think, this is not the time, but so one of the purpose of internal outreach should also be to build in sufficient insights to be able to, as in Sanskrit or Hindi, we call Nirakshira Vivek. And that Nirakshira Vivek, in the days driven by vendor push or marketing logic, many times vanishes. And we as a scientific community, we should make sure that we don't fall prey to such buzzwords. So that's the power of internal outreach. So clearly this conclave, I must compliment Dr. Mohanty and indeed all of you for conceiving and bringing to full shape this conclave. And I really wish that this goes through. You already have gone through Chintan, so all aspects are on the table. Now the time to decide, and that decision should be made on that Nirakshira Vivek and not by some buzzwords and marketing logic. And I think this meeting, and good that you have this meeting over several days, so there will be plenty of time to discuss. But I think it's important that we do come to decisions which remain stable and not decisions which change every now and then, because that's a reflection of the fact that the Nirakshira Vivek has not gone to the depth as it should have been. The last point that I wish to make on this occasion is, I think this part of extended Bhubaneswar where we are at this moment, you have NISER, you have IIT, you have the ICT, Indian Oil Corporation institution, and very soon the cancer hospital is due to come. So I think it's an institutional area with a difference. And I do hope and expect that while we do this conclave from the larger DAE perspective, since we are holding this meeting here in Bhubaneswar, you may like to devote some time to Bhubaneswar perspective or Orissa perspective and see how the science activity in this region, the power of all institutions that exist around, will not only push science in terms of pushing frontiers of knowledge, you not only push technology in terms of pushing frontiers of technology, but also work out ways and means to leverage these strengths for the benefit of this region. And I can assure you that the way things are shaping up, it is these institutions that will decide the destiny of the society and the countries and the region in which they exist. And there are enough number of examples in the history. So I think there is a great opportunity here that such an ecosystem is taking shape, and I would think that it would be very useful if some thought is given to this, either in this conclave or maybe you could have a Bhubaneswar specific conclave and work that out. All in all, thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this conclave, and wish all of you success and luck in terms of achieving your objectives. Thank you.